Triviño here at the center, the Innovation Center, full of hope, ideas, and entrepreneurship. And I want to welcome you to this series of shows, programs entitled Ideas from the Center. Even though I'm a political scientist here in Atlanta, Georgia, the show is not going to revolve around politics per se. But politics is really about relationships, it's about people, and it's about ideas. So everything we do, regardless, it has some aspect of politics in it. My name is Dr. Wilson Triviño here in Atlanta, Georgia. I got a PhD from Auburn University. I'm also a writer, a speaker, and you can find my books available on Amazon. The latest book, Grab Them by the Pussy, which is a book that's about how is it you're able to grasp the power of social media, using the ability to think big, start small, and scale fast. Another book, too, that I think is very popular, it's Love, Love, Love. And that book is about empowering and finding and giving love around the world and around you. All 8 my books are available on Amazon.com. I would appreciate you supporting that. Now today is November 22nd, 2017. It's Thanksgiving Eve here in the United States, where we're thankful for different things. We're also on the eve of another day, which I'll show you a little political memorabilia I got. I recently was at the LBJ Library in Austin, Texas, and I got this. President Johnson was one that knew the value of relationships, knew the value of politics, and he would give out little gifts. So this is a little paperweight, and it's a gift that's actually one that he used to give out. It's a vintage gift, and it has a coin inside it. On the back, it says President of the United States, 36th President of the United States, November 27th, 1963. November 22nd, 1963 was the year that John Kennedy was assassinated. So, of course, he became president on that day. So this is kind of a cool little relic of President Johnson. So we want to pause and remember that. 54 years ago today, or yet tomorrow, President Johnson became the 36th President of the United States. First, we want to start. There was kind of some jokes this week of Huckleberry Sanders, the press secretary. Yesterday, when she took questions at the White House, she asked everyone before they took a question to ask or to say what they were grateful for. It was kind of a silly exercise, and you know, in the professional world of newspaper reporters and journalists, you would think that you would not ask them to do that. So I just thought, well, let me start off. What am I grateful for? First of all, I'm grateful for have friends, have family, have people that support me, have people that are out there in my viewers and listening to my ideas, people that allow me to live my dreams and able to share ideas and empower other people, people that allow me to do what I want to do and exploring the world around us. Because one of the beauties we have about today is that we have a lot of freedom here in the United States. We have the freedom to think, we have the freedom to create, we have the freedom to be entrepreneurs, which really entrepreneurship allows you the freedom to control your time and to seek out what is going on. I also am thankful for my health that I'm able to do this, and I really appreciate my viewers. If it weren't for you, if it weren't for my readers, if it weren't for people that were paying attention to my social media feed, there would be no use of me doing this. It's something that I do, I love, try to give you behind the scenes, give you some insight to what's going on. And I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, but I travel around the world and I travel all over different places trying to see what's kind of the scoop. What is the news, the story behind the story? Not necessarily in this perspective, a world of sensationalism, but ideas, something you can take with you. Because the old saying goes, if I have a penny and you have a penny and you take one of my pennies, then I have 0 pennies. But if I have an idea and you have an idea and I share with you an idea, all of a sudden you have 2 ideas and I have 2 ideas, and that empowers us and makes us stronger and makes us more willing to create the beloved community. And that is really the key to success, what empowers us individually. That brings up my next point, which I think sometimes we forget, especially now that we are in the season of the holiday spirit, where we celebrate being grateful, we celebrate the beauties, we celebrate the blessings of our world and our life, is that we many times talk about the someday. You know, someday I want to travel the world. Someday I want to read that book. Someday I want to be in a loving relationship. Someday I want to be a philanthropist. Someday I want to write a book. But what happens is that someday never happens because time is so short and so precious. And what you should do is create a list and write out all the things you want to do someday. And then sit down and write every day, what is it you do today? You know, you sit in traffic, you're listening to me, you're complaining about your boss at work, you have all these stresses, because, you know, stress is not really in you, it's how you react to the environment. So you take the list of someday and take the list of today and compare them. Is that list of today getting you to closer to someday? Now, this idea is very simple, and this comes up to a group that I have two guys. First guy's name is Joshua Fields Milburn, and the second guy is Ryan Nicodemus. These are two guys that were very successful on the outside. They had six-figure jobs. They had a prestigious job title. They had all the trappings of success, but there was something missing, and that something missing was they weren't happy. They weren't happy, they weren't celebrating the joys of the world or the blessings that they had. So they started a group, started a program, wrote several books. And this movement, which you probably have heard before, it's called the Minimalist. And it's about looking at decluttering your life of stuff and really enjoying the experience of every day. So the Minimalists were here last Saturday. They spoke at the Buckhead Theater. And the Buckhead Theater, it was a packed audience. And when someone told me about it last week, I originally thought that the Minimalists were a band, until I Googled them, the Minimalists. And they were two guys, simple guys in their 30s, that have embarked on this journey to spread this idea of simplifying your life. How is it that you are able to really enjoy, be more with less stuff? Because everything in here, everything that you have paid a price for it. You know, every dollar I make costs me time, and that time translates to stuff, and this costs me stuff. So this is time that I have spent and be able to afford this. So that is really the key of this minimalist movement, is to simplify your life. Looking not only at your physical life, but your spiritual life, your emotional life, and get rid of some of that baggage, because the one thing that makes us all in common, the one thing that really is a great equalizer, is time. We have a finite amount of time. You know, the Dalai Lama talks about there's three things that make us all more similar than different. And the first thing is that we all born, we have mamas. The second thing is that we want to be happy, and the last thing is we're going to die. It's not if, it's when. Recently I was in Texas, and I was listening to, there's a lot of preachers on the radio, and this lady went up to a preacher and she goes, Pastor, is this the last generation? Is the world so bad this is the last generation? Well, the pastor went back and he thought for a minute, and he goes, it is for you. It is for you. This is the last generation that we're going to experience, because we are not going to live for the next one. We're going to have a finite amount of time, and that is something we forget, is that time is of the essence. So look up and Google the Minimalist and see how is it you're able to simplify your life. You know, here in the time of the holidays, sometimes we feel that material things are something that is going to give us love, is going to give us appreciation. And I'm not against the riches of the world. You know, it's nice to have money in your pocket. It's nice to have things. But sometimes you should think, stop and think. We don't spend enough time thinking. How is it that this thing that I have, is it going to create stress in my life? I'm going to have to dust it. Is it going to take up space? Am I going to need a place to store it? So that minimalist movement is really one that is very important, I think, in today's world. It's discovering happiness. Where does happiness come from? You know, the easiest way, recently I heard about Chopra in Dallas talk about his book about quantum health. And he says the easiest way that you can gain happiness is to do something nice for someone else. You feel good about yourself, and you're making the world a better place. And we need to rediscover these truths, because there really is no original ideas. It's just things we haven't discovered yet. Last week at the Atlanta History Center, I also attended a lecture by a guy named Jonathan Eig. He wrote a book on Muhammad Ali. It's the definitive books on Ali. He did over 300 interviews. He was interested in this individual who had changed the cultural identity of boxing, someone that kind of lived life his own way. In this book, he shares many stories. Shares the one story how he got into boxing. Muhammad Ali was one day on his bicycle, and he had gotten it stolen. So he went to look for a policeman, couldn't find any, and they said the policeman was down at this local gym. Went into the gym and fell in love with boxing, and that was his introduction to boxing. How Muhammad Ali, his approach to boxing was he would take it. He was fast, he was furious, but he would take the shots, he would take the hits. And he, in his book, estimated that Ali had gotten over 200,000 punches throughout his career. Can you believe that? 200,000 punches. It also talked about Atlanta. It was very close to Ali's heart because two important things happened there. One, after he was banned from boxing, he got reintroduced in boxing. There was a match in Atlanta. And the second was in the 90s when he had been forgotten. He kind of had a resurgence in the latter part of his life when he held the Olympic torch in the 1996 Olympics, relit the torch, and kind of that resurgence of Atlanta, the Olympic spirits, and hope. I have to share with you a story once with Ali when they were having the flame go from Atlanta to Salt Lake City, because the tradition is from the last Olympics the flame goes to the new site. It was a cold morning. I saw that Ali was going to be there. So I went there, and there was probably half a dozen people. It was a foggy, cold morning. And I sat next to the guy who was real chatty, which later on I found that was Lance Armstrong. I didn't know who Lance Armstrong was at the time. But the person that kicked off the run for the Olympics of the Salt Lake Games, the Winter Games, was Muhammad Ali. So I went up to Muhammad Ali, and I looked at him, and he was frail, and at that time he was already affected by Parkinson's. And I shook his hand, and I said, "Champ, you're the greatest." And he grabbed me, and he pulled me in with a death grip, and he put his head next to my ear, and he whispered, "The greatest of all time." And that's a moment today always gives me chills and kind of gives me hope how you can be the greatest of all time. We also saw last week another speaker, a book that was called The American Family by Khizr Khan. Khizr Khan he spoke last week at the Carter Presidential Library in their author series. If you get a chance, look at their website and you can see all the events. As a matter of fact, December 4th, they're going to be an event where, President Carter is going to be speaking. Actually, he's not going to be speaking. He's going to be signing his new book. And December 4th at 5:30, you can take 5 books to the Carter Center, and you can get the president, former president, the 39th president of the United States, to sign your book. He just came out with a new book that's called The Craftsman of Jimmy Carter, and it's about his work in woodworking. But Khizr Khan talked about this book, The American Family. As you know, during the campaign last year at the Democratic Convention, he is a gold-starred father. He and his wife spoke at the convention, and they lost their son. Gold Star family members, when you lose your son in war, in a military conflict, and President Trump kind of picked on them. Well, he spoke at the convention. He got some focus, some publicity, also some backlash, and he wrote a book about it called The American Family. In this book, he talks about being an attorney, and it really is kind of the American story. Someone that came to this nation, wanted to better themselves, had dreams and moved forward, and gave up his son for the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. In this book, he talks about the importance of the founding documents, the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence is different from other democracies in that we told England, the United States, that we were going to declare that we were going to be independent. That's something that you didn't see in other parts of the world, the colonial world. Most of the time, the dominant country would give the freedom, give the country independence. But here in the United States, the Founding Fathers said, hey, we're going to declare to be independents. Then wrote also another founding document, the U.S. Constitution, which you see the Bill of Rights, that gives us rights that we hold true today. If you're ever in Washington at the National Archives, you can actually see the original Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Khan talked about how is it we forget that these are living documents, how it takes us as citizens the responsibility to make sure we bring them to life every day. He has taken a lifelong view of carrying the Constitution and sharing these ideas, being an attorney, that we often forget that these things are fragile. If we don't accept our system, we can change it, but if we don't keep aware and keep vigilant of democracy, we'll lose it. Wonderful book that talked about that, about empowering that. Last thing, too, that was kind of interesting this week was the implosion of the Georgia Dome. Georgia Dome was a stadium here in Atlanta, Georgia. 25 years ago, it was put up. It's the only facility that has hosted an Olympics, Final Four, and also a Super Bowl. I was there at the inaugural 25th years ago. Natalie Cole sang at that event. It was a fancy dinner. Billy Graham was there. I met Billy Graham. On the table, they had these little cupcakes with a little string where everybody was able to cut the ribbon and share in the festivities. So it was fitting for me to also be there for the closing of the stadium. So it came down on Monday at 7:30. It took about 12 seconds. If you look at my YouTube, you can see little clips. You can see kind of the perspective of how is it that it came down. Also, another thing that's important, I think, is books and ideas, and I want to share with you one that I think is very important. There is an exhibit right now at the High Museum. It's Making Africa, and it's running through January 7th, 2018, and this book is where Africa is not going east, is not going west, it's going forward. It shares about how is it that this continent is going through a tremendous change in the fashion world, in architecture, in art, in contemporary art. In it, there is a beautiful catalog that you can purchase at the bookstore there at the High Museum. And this is the catalog itself, which has more in depth of the pieces that are on display and a little more writing in the background, so you can capture little things. I would encourage you, I like these books because it's the ability to take them home with you, and when I need inspiration, when I need to kind of change my mindset, I love art books because art books are ones in which share ideas and knowledge and are able to have perspective. Here at the Innovation Center, we also have an art gallery, the Rojas Gallery. So if you're in the neighborhood here in Smyrna, Georgia, or in Atlanta, Georgia, come look us up. You can have a drink, a little coffee with us, can have something else, a little stronger if you want, and check out some of our art. We have several artists that are on display right now. Craig Ford, if you look at his hashtag at Craig Ford Fine Art, you will be able to see some of the beautiful work that he does as contemporary pop art. He also is available for commission pieces, and he also is a professor now, a soon-to-be professor up at in North, where is it you're supposed to be a professor at? I had a Young Harris in Young Harris, Georgia. Governor Zell Miller's former alma mater. Also Kathy Cox, the current dean of the law school at Mercer, was a former president there. And it was a beautiful small little college. So now he's going to be enriching minds and looking at. So check out this catalog, check out the Rojas Gallery, come here at the Innovation Center. We also have a library of 10,000 books. If you are in the area, bring a bag. You can take as many books as you want. I only ask two things. One is to read it. Second thing is to pass it on to someone else, because ideas are what matters, and that's really what makes the world a better place. We don't spend enough time pausing and thinking. Deepak Chopra, which I heard recently in Dallas, talked about that stress is really not within us, it's within the environment. And we get overwhelmed, especially in holiday season, with bills, with trying to satisfy, with trying to deal with family that comes into town. And you have to take a moment and take a breath. Focus on the awareness. If you focus on the breath, you can calm yourself down. Because if you hold your breath, if you don't breathe, you suffocate. And like anything, you got to let it go. Everything comes and goes. Nothing is permanent. Everything is the ever-present witness, and where everything comes and goes. Which leaves me, why is it that I talk about, or ABC Vision, what it stands for? You know, tough times never last, but tough people do. And I have embarked on a journey in my career to find what are the tenets, what are the keys, what is it that makes people successful. And success really is living the life you want to lead. That is a tenet that came out of a class I took in my undergraduate at Kennesaw State with Dr. Betty Siegel, where we looked at hundreds of books at leadership and looked at the question of success. Is living the life you want to lead, creating your path. Because what I like, what I envision, what I am empowered with is different from what you may be empowered with, what you see in the world around you. So I've created this concept, this idea, the ABC, ABC Vision, which is my social media hashtag on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on all the different platforms. And it's a quite simple thing that you can focus on every day, because as Stephen Covey talked in his books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, every day you need to focus on north, true north. So your ABCs is kind of a framework in order to focus on that. So what is A? A is your attitude, the way you see the world. You know, you can have a good day, you can have a bad day, but you are the one that decides what your attitude's going to be. You have to let go and realize that it's this moment that matters. You know, yesterday is gone, tomorrow is not here, so all we have is a present, a gift, this moment, this opportunity, this second that we're sharing, you know, because right now we're friends. And I want to share ideas as friends so it empowers you. I can't inspire you, you got to inspire yourself. You know, inspire us to bring out from within, to see what is your path. And that's the issue we deal with today, is that we have so many decisions that we make none. So we fall into the rudder, into the gutter, and we don't see the power from within. B is your beliefs, your core values. Why do I do the things I do? We all do things for a reason. Sometimes we don't think about it conceptually. We don't think about it in the moment. But why do we do the things we do? Remember that list that I told you about, the someday and the today? We need to interchange that to the Sunday is today. You know, what is it you want to do in your life? What is it that has inspired you? How is it that you can make a difference? Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to play an instrument? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want to meet interesting people? Do you want to write a book? I mean, what is it you want to do? Do you want to just, you know, sleep all the time? I mean, what is it you want to do? I mean, create that life. And entrepreneurship is beautiful because it allows you the hustle, never stop, money never sleeps, to create the independence to control your time, and that's the most valuable resource you have. So B is your belief. C is your commitment. So you know what you want someday, and you have today. Now you have to be committed to make that someday into the today list, and that is the most difficult thing to do, because it's easy to complain, it's easy to bitch, it's easy to give excuses. You know, the reason why I'm a fat boy is because I like to eat. I know what I need to do. You know, the easiest way for me to lose weight is to cut my leg off. But that'll make me inefficient, not work. But what do I need to do? Focus on less eating, exercising more. I know what I need to do, but I like to eat. That's the same thing in all aspects of your life. Your spiritual aspect, your physical aspect, your intellectual aspect, your emotional aspect. How do you find balance within all those things? And of course, the last thing, you need to have a vision. You know, they say without a vision, people will perish. You know, people can be blind and still have a vision. What is your future? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? That is really what ABC Vision is about. To give you insight, to show you that the world is more than this little space, that there's lots of things going on. We lived in a blessed time. We live in the golden age of civilization. So on that note, make sure you buy my books on Amazon. Grab them by the pussy, Grasp the Power of Social Media, and Love, Love, Love. And enjoy and be grateful this Thanksgiving period and this holiday period. And as we continue these talks and these discussions, give me some feedback. You can contact me at my Twitter, my Instagram, my Snapchat at abcvision, or shoot me an email, abcvision@hotmail.com. Or if you want to contribute, just let me know and we can find a way to do that. If you need someone to speak at your group, someone to share ideas, someone to assist you in whatever your dreams may be, I'm here. Because the beautiful thing about this social media world is all of a sudden You can think big, you can start small, and you can scale fast. And you can connect with anybody in the world. Because really, we're more alike than we're different. Because today is a new day. So start living your dreams and start creating that life. And thanks again for watching. And have a blessed and safe and happy Thanksgiving. Oh, the last thing, I almost forgot. What's going around in town? So I've made a little list of what I'm doing tonight. Cardboard piano at the Atlanta Actors Express. Tomorrow's Turkey Day. Then going to see Grinder the Opera at the Outfront Theater. This weekend is also opening weekend at Aurora Theater. The Christmas Carol and the 12 Dates of Christmas, the matinee and late show, and then the burlesque show, Candy Box Review, a tribute to Quentin Tarantino at the Smith-O Bar, 8 o'clock. You can find all these on my Instagram feed, find it on my social media, on Twitter, and there it gives you a little update of things to do. And let me know if you have an event you want me to cover, or you have something cool that's happening, an author event, some sort of anything, just let me know. I'll show up to the opening of an envelope, because I'm really focused on giving you the scenes behind the scenes and share with you the ideas that matter in today's complex world. And thanks again for watching the Ideas from the Center, episode 100, November 22nd, 2017. Dr. Wilson Triviño. Follow me on ABC Vision. And thanks for watching, and be awesome.